What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Hologram. I want to go over some of the current data points, what shorts have been doing, and then aside from that, what just came out from Trump that could really impact Hologram. So I want to go over all the things that you need to know, but first make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So Hologram is up 1.8%, 52 cents the low, 54 cents the high. Very low volume though, so 5.5 million shares being traded, 25.5 is the average. Not just happening today though, pretty much the last several trading days, very low volume. Couple different attributing factors to that though. One is just simply it's a Chinese stock. Chinese stocks aren't being seen in a positive light lately, so institutions and retail just don't want to touch it. And then aside from that, Hologram just stopped all PR ever since March the 21st. So they've been doing these PR blitzes on and off since December, really following hype and such as quantum and stuff like that. But since them submitting their 20F, they just dropped like a rock. So that is very odd. And I think in general, a lot of investors are starting to question that. Even looking on the secondary market, no transactions over the last roughly 90 days above $100,000. Today, there was one transaction on the dark pool that could be possibly attributed to just shorts. But I feel like right now, just given everything, Hologram needs to start putting out some news and incentivize some buying. If not, they're just going to continue to trend down. And if they continue on the status quo, that does mean that they will be doing a reverse stock split, at least be deficient with the NASDAQ $1 bid price rule in the first week of May, and then potentially do a reverse stock split at least probably shortly after that. So it's not a good scenario for Hologram, so it is what it is. But one thing that just came out that from Trump that could really impact Hologram was this. So breaking, Trump administration is considering delisting Chinese stocks on US exchanges per Fox. So that would be for ADRs and primary listing such as Hologram. So it's not the best. Of course, to play devil's advocate, Trump did threaten this last time he was president back in 2018, 2019. Nothing came to fruition. I don't believe any stocks were officially delisted back then. So this probably is just a scare tactic, but essentially it could very much happen. The fact that Hologram and many other Chinese stocks could be just kicked off American exchanges. So it's not a good scenario at the end of the day. So even though Hologram's been kicked around and stuff like that, it could get kind of worse. One thing I do want to bring up and clarify, because my last video there was some comments. So I did state that a lot of these prospectuses, so a lot of these short-term notes are starting to come due. And for those of you that have taken the time to read through a lot of these notes, you'd understand kind of where the payments are coming from and how it's kind of oriented. But the principal is coming back as cash. So ultimately, all these, except for this most recent one on February the 28th, I think that was like 40 something million, but every other one is like very cookie cutter. It's all pretty much the same. All they did was just change the date, and it is 28 million. Subtract admin fees, it's roughly around 25.5. That's what they get. So 28 million does need to be paid back. That is the principal. Principal is paid back through cash. The interest payments, that is what is paid through dilution. So again, I feel like a lot of investors don't really know this. And on a side note, if you are ever investing in any stock, even aside from Hologram, take the time to understand their debt. How is it paid back? Is it something to be aware of? Because I get countless comments on individuals not really understanding what is happening with Hologram. I think just way too many individuals get in thinking that Hologram or just any other meme stock is the next big thing and you're going to get rich off of it, and not really understand the kind of behind the scenes, the fundamentals. So at the end of the day, even though they did announce recently, I think it was through one of their Bitcoin type of PRs, that they had 280 plus million, that essentially is going to be taken down. So going back to pretty much 2024, so you do have right here, so with it today being June or April the 11th, I don't know where I got June from, but this one, March the 14th, that had to have been paid by now, because all these are short-term 365-day notes. Then aside from that, April 23rd, then you also have May the 9th, May the 22nd, and all of this is going to eat away from their cash. So they really needed to do something ASAP with all this cash if they're going to do something with it. And so I feel like with their recent PRs with the Bitcoin, they were really hoping and hedging that Bitcoin was going to go higher, then they could actually make some money. But you're pretty much trying to gamble with borrowed money. So it's not really the best scenario. But even moving on, June the 20th, July the 10th, all of that is going to be paid. So at the end, by probably June, July of 2025, they will not have any cash. So they're just going to have to keep on repeating the cycle. So most likely in the next little bit, you will start to see more and more prospectuses popping up, and that probably will be post the reverse stock split. So I always hate to be the bearer of bad news, but so far I've been exactly on point with Hologram. Previously, I did make money on it going long, obviously catching the momentum and so forth. This time around, I did decide last time it did spike, which was in March, I think 24th or 25th. I decided to buy puts, even though it could have very much gone higher than this at roughly $1.15 equivalently. I did buy some puts and I'm up, I think 115% or something like that. So it's I feel like the writing is on the wall that Hologram is going to be doing a reverse stock split. You just have a lot of individuals not really understanding what is happening and still saying it's a squeeze play. So going over here, 10.28% of the free float is being shorted, where it's going to be 15.7 million shares overall being shorted. That's if you do believe that no dilution is occurring. The recent 20F that they did put out, unfortunately, didn't actually show the new outstanding share count. So if you do believe dilution is occurring, then this would be wrong. Today, it does indicate 29,000 shares are being returned by shorts. So shorts really aren't doing all that much, considering 5.5 million shares have been traded. Cost to borrow average is 10.09. And then just to give you a quick overview, this is the options from today so far. Market's closing in roughly 1 hour, but 1,100 in puts, 12,000 in calls. 59% of all the options being done today are bearish in nature. So it's like I said, I think the company itself could still do something. It's not fully down and out, but they need to stop with all this crap, this PR blitzes, these hype PRs. They need to actually put out something substantial. Start looking at potentially a merger with Wimmy or some other one. I know that article kind of came out roughly 3 months ago, 4 months, somewhere around there. That did make logical sense about a partnership with Wimmy. They need to do something in that capacity. So I think until that time does occur, you're just going to see Hologram just be somewhat stagnant, if not flat. And that's aside from Trump potentially delisting Chinese stocks. So let me know your thoughts on Hologram. Are you still remaining bullish on it? Are you bearish? What's your kind of general thoughts on all that? One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some kick-ass buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. So definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.